Seriously, if that's the extent of your analysis, you need to quit. In my last conversation with Augie, he told me a story about how he quit drama for a year because a guy named Salvo was doxing and harassing him and his family. So where is that same sympathy when it's happening to me and my wife?
Wow. So now WillyMacShow is just leaking conversations that we've had. Tipster says, ha, pussy. Let me explain this conversation. Now, I'm not the type of guy that likes discussing private conversations like this. I think that that's pretty nasty. But WillyMacShow has opened up the floodgates here. Okay. You want to try to throw me under the bus? You know, I'll do the same thing to you. Do you know why this conversation took place? He's referencing a conversation a month ago that we had. A lot of people in my community were suggesting that I should host a debate between Queeman and WillyMacShow. So I called WillyMacShow, half just kind of just, you know, talk shit with them, just see what's going on. I was kind of bored or whatever. I just wanted to like talk, but also have to propose this debate to him, right? And so I proposed this debate idea, not thinking that, you know, he's going to go along with it, right? I proposed this debate idea to him, and he starts rattling off at like 1,000 fucking words per minute about how much J-Stalk and Queeman have just been complete pricks to him, how their communities have been cancerous, how everything has just been so terrible, they're dishonest, they're liars, blah, 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 blah. And so I'm sitting there saying, I'm like, okay, you know, I know what it's like. I've dealt with communities attacking me before, right? And I mentioned that. Pretty sure I didn't tell him that that's why I left YouTube, because that doesn't even make any sense, right? When was Salvo going after me? Like September 2022? And when did I leave? Like a year later? Didn't I start a whole daily show on Red Fox Comms 6 months after that? Why would I have wanted to left the internet but wrote it out for a year and it also started a brand new show in that same amount of time? But then a year later, when nothing's going on, nothing's happening, that's when I decided, well, fuck this, I can't handle what happened a year ago. Really? Obviously, that doesn't make any fucking sense, right? The reason why I left is very simple. I was just bored of this shit. I was bored of this shit, and I wanted to work on other things. That's pretty much it, right? And obviously, there's other factors that contributed to it. One of those being, you know, which was a point that I was making, was that, you know, when you're on the internet, when you're a commentator, there are cancerous elements to it, like people attacking you and stuff like that, people attacking your family and things like that. So I for sure mentioned that to him, but not in like, this is why I left. And here's the thing too, right? I didn't record that call, so I can't even prove this to you guys, right? But do you know who thought that I was recording that fucking call? Willy. Because I'm sitting here relating to him. I'm saying like, hey dude, like, you know, I get it. I've had communities attack me before. It sucks. I'm telling him this so that he understands that I know where he's coming from. But as he's telling me more and more about what Queeman and J-Stalk have been doing to him, I start pushing back because I want to hear more about that. As soon as I start pushing back, he gets nervous all of a sudden. He's like, dude, are you just farming me? Are you just recording me? And I'm like, what the fuck? I immediately start screen sharing my my desktop window, and I flip my camera on and stuff like that just to prove that I'm not recording it. But I'm like, dude, I'm your fucking friend. I'm not gonna record you. The hell? What do you think? I'm like taping you to give it to Queeman tomorrow so that he can go over it on stream? But that's the level of paranoia that we're dealing with here. Even when I'm talking in private and Willy is privately expressing to me how much Queeman and J-Stalk have run a train on him mentally, even in that moment, he thinks that I'm out to get him at the same time. You know, he thinks that I might be after him or something like that. And I gotta be honest too. So Chud Logic had me on his show this morning, right? Chud Logic had me on his show this morning, and Chud mentioned on stream that he's like, hey, Augie, I messaged you. I checked my Discord, right? I didn't see any messages from Chud. And then I realized, oh, he's probably messaging my old Discord account, because I have 2 Discord accounts, right? He's probably messaging my old one, the Augie RC account. So I log into that account so that I can respond to Chud and that I can go onto his show. As I log into that account, I see a misread DM from WillyMacShow. And he had messaged me a day before I went live. He messaged me a day before I went live asking if he wanted to play video games with me. And I'm sitting there going, I'm like, oh man, dude, I missed that DM. What would have happened most likely if I was like using that Discord account, I would have seen that DM. We would have called each other, played some video games, and I might have mentioned like what was going on with his Twitter account. I might have disagreed with him and stuff like that, right? And my stream that I did the next day probably would not have been as hard, just naturally. And people are going to say, oh, the cabal's real, the cabal's sweeping. Look, as human beings, of course, if I have like a conversation with somebody and I talk to them, I'm most likely not going to be as harsh towards them as I would if I didn't have that conversation, clearly, right? But here's what I'm thinking. This is what I'm getting down to, right? I think WillyMacShow, this is just me speculating. I think he assumed, he probably saw I was online on Steam and playing games, and I was just blowing him off, right? Not knowing that I just didn't use that Discord account. I think that he thinks that I was blowing him off, and then he sees the next day I do a stream shitting on him, and in his mind, he probably at that point was like, this guy's a piece of shit, he's after me. And that's why he's calling me bad faith in this video. That's what I honestly believe. I honestly believe that because I blew him off and didn't play video games with him the day before, and then the next day I happened to go live shitting on him and his takes, he probably thought that I was ignoring him the previous day because I had already made the decision in my own mind that WillyMacShow is cancer and I'm after him. I actually believe that's what happened, and maybe I'm wrong, okay? I'm purely speculating here. But that honestly makes the most amount of sense to me right now. I think that's what happened. Because you notice in this video, he calls me bad faith. He says that I'm a piece of shit and stuff like that. He went hard as fuck, and it was personal, right? Even this point he's making right now is a personal attack that he's making against me. And so I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, damn, like, WillyMacShow really... I know obviously I shit-talked him on my stream, but I didn't think that what I did warranted this, right? I think that he thinks that I, like, turncoated him or something, and that's why he decided to just let it all out there. I think that's honestly what happened. This whole thing was a major misunderstanding that could have been resolved. But instead, now it's escalated to this. But you know what? I said this on Chud Logic's stream, and I am going to say it now. I'm glad it happened this way because I really got to see WillyMacShow's true nature here. I mean, this video was malicious. It was an attack. He does lie in this video. He maliciously reframes all of my arguments. He's acting like I have no... He outright says, dude, you told me Salvo went after your mom, and yet you had no sympathy for when I got doxxed? I absolutely had fucking sympathy. The fuck? But he assumes that I didn't. Probably because he thinks that I'm just willing to buddy up and ally with the other team. The team that's going after him and giving him a hard time. No! I just look at people fairly and objectively with my own eyes. If you have a negative opinion of somebody that I'm talking to, I'll hear you out. I'll listen to you. But I'm not going to just form my own opinions around somebody based solely off of what somebody else is fucking telling me. When I see the abhorrent behavior from Queeman and JSuck's community, I'll talk about it. I'll call it out. I'll be like, what the fuck are we doing here? I honestly have not seen that. And this video has not convinced me otherwise. So, I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
He shares the same empathy meter with Ian.
You know, my empathy meter's only maybe...